Hey everybody, so today's tutorial is going to be all about brows. I'm just going to show you my routine, how I do my eyebrows. Everyone does theirs differently, but this is just how I do mine. So first I start off by brushing them with a little spoolie brush just to get them in order. And then I typically go in with the crayon case pencil in the color Bear. It's from her color pencils line. It's a really deep dark brown. I like to start with this just to line my brow and get a shape that I want. And then I usually fill it in a little bit just to kind of add some definition, especially at the tail of the brow. I don't like to make the beginning of the brow too dark. So as you can see, I just take little brush stroke motions and fill it in. As I go, I kind of brush it out to get rid of those harsh lines. As you can see, the lines that I created kind of soften up a little bit. Then I go in with my Wet n Wild pencil. This is from their Color Con Kohl eyeliner line. It's called Simma Brown now, and it's a dark brown, but it's a lot warmer. It's a pretty brown. I like to go in with this secondly just to warm it up a little bit so that my brows aren't super dark. I don't like the dark brow thing, so I like to follow it with this brow just to soften it a little bit. I pretty much follow the same rules. I line it, fill it in a little bit, brush it out, and then I repeat that until I get the desired brow that I want. Sometimes if the beginning of my brow is a little too light, I'll fill in a little more, which is what I did. So I'm pretty much going to do the same thing on the other brow, starting with the crayon case pencil and then following up with the Wet n Wild pencil. I didn't always do this. I used to just do the crayon case pencil, but I found that my brows were a little dark. And so when I started to add the Wet n Wild pencil, I liked it. So there you have it. So after I do that, I typically go in with a concealer. Now, I just started using this concealer. It's by Makeup Revolution in the shade C10.5. It's a really light beige, kind of neutral beige, which is not the concealer I would typically use under my eyes because it's really light and neutral and I'm more warm. But since I'll be applying a really intense color eyeshadow later on, not in this video, but later on, that's why I chose to use this concealer. Just for the purposes of the video. Pretty much I would do this same thing, but with a warmer concealer closer to my skin tone, if I was just wearing like a natural look. So I decided to use a liner brush, which has a really straight edge to do this. I think any small brush that either has a straight edge or a slightly rounded edge will work. You just want something that will give you a precise line. As you can see, I kind of cover the whole lid in concealer. And then I take my Morphe M173 brush and just buff it out. You don't want it to look caked on or to be able to see the lines created by the original liner brush. So I just do this to like buff it out and blend it out so that it looks a little more seamless. As you can see, it almost looks like a white base, but that's, like I said, that's what I wanted for the eyeshadow look that I'm going to do later on. So yeah, it looks a little ghostly, but you know, if I use the warmer concealer, it will look a little more natural. So I'm just going to repeat this on my other eye. You want to be as precise as you can with that going under the brow because that's what makes it look more crisp. So yeah, just buff it out as much as you can or as much as desired. And then make sure your brows are still intact. So secondly, I go in with another concealer that's closer to my skin tone. This is the Makeup Revolution concealer shade in C13. As you can see, it's a little more closer to my skin tone. It literally blends right in. I like to use this above the brow because I don't like that halo brow thing where it looks like your eyebrows are just floating. I do like my brows to look done and you know, clean but natural. Like I don't want them floating off of my face. So I usually use a concealer closer to my skin tone for the top of the brow. And I pretty much line it. I use the same brush. I wiped it off. I lined it and then I'm gonna buff it out just like I did under the brow. Just so that when I add my foundation, you can't see like, you know, a line of demarcation from where I applied the concealer to where I applied my foundation. So I'm just going to repeat this on the other eye. Take as much time as you need. You want it to be really neat. Like, I'm not a brow expert by any means, so I'm sure maybe you have a better technique. But This is what I typically do, and it works for me. So I put a little bit of the concealer that's closer to my skin tone in the middle, just because I don't want halo brows or like bird wing brows. So I didn't want to put like the light concealer in the middle because that would help them float off my face. So I just put a little bit of that in the center, buff it out, and pretty much that's it. I just try to blend as much as I can so that when I add my concealer, it blends right in. Give you a little brow action. Ooh, ooh. All right, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.